I see Santa. Okay, if you need your, and there's Camille. Yay. Okay, Andre and Brinley, I'm glad you're on. I know we have like 3 students in China, so I doubt they're up right now. I know I wouldn't be. Okay, everybody good doing something so we can chat? Okay, here in a minute, the 3 o'clock prayer is gonna come on, so we're gonna pause. And then we'll kind of pick up after that. We'll also see if Zada or anybody else logs on with us, okay? So hang tight for a few minutes. Yes. Okay, we're gonna start right after the 3 o'clock prayer because it should be starting in a minute, okay? So y'all just hang tight. Oh, there it goes. Okay, Max, we're doing 3 o'clock prayer, so you just need to hang on for a minute. My guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here. Ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide and There's Isabella. Okay, so I'm gonna start talking for the film people. If you have these, if you don't want to hear my voice, might be a good idea, okay? All right, so unless you are physically in front of me, which is only 4 people, I need you to turn your cameras on, please. And remember, this is recording. Okay, thank you. Other than there's 4 of them who are actually physically in front of me, and that's gonna mess me up. Okay. All right. Glad to see faces, and this is the first time we actually have a successful Zoom, I think. Okay, so things that we need to go over real quick. We're gonna go over LMS real quick, just so I know that you are finding everything, okay? And then we're gonna talk about our project that is due next Thursday and how critique goes for those of you who have not done a critique for art, okay? Because they're going to be run actually similar to what you would do in a college setting. So, okay, so I'm gonna take over your screen right now. If it lets me. Yay, and we're gonna get rid of y'all. Okay, so I have a ton of classes. Let me find this one. All right, I'm guessing since all of y'all were able to find Zoom, and this is how I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it when we have them the morning of, that way it pops up right away, okay? And I will also send you an email that morning if you would rather just click on it from an email, okay? So the art of drawing is what we're gonna be doing this first 9 weeks, possibly into November as well. Just different thoughts and ideas on what drawing is, as well as some history in October, okay? So the breath or the breathe one. Moment of pause. Hopefully you have taken a look at this one. If you haven't, because we have 2 questions. There's a part 2 and then a 1 that are due tomorrow at 11:30. As far as I know, Zada's the only one who has commented yet. Okay, so obviously, Mr. Damien Hirst, and that's how I think you say his name. Reason why I picked this one, if you've read, is because it's in a book. I think you can kind of see it right here. He's working out of books, old textbooks, recycled books, encyclopedias, those kinds of things. Pulled this one up specifically for this reason, that if you are working in a sketchbook, there's nothing to say that it cannot be 3D, because this thing pops on, think pop-up book. Okay, this thing, I wish they had a picture from the side. It pops up and opens, okay? So breathe. Some of you are doing a literal translation of the word breathe, which is fine. You can go literal, or you can go as in you take a moment of pause, a moment of rest, whether that's an emotional one, a physical one, a mental one. You don't have to stay with the literal definition of breathe or breath, okay? This one kind of is because it's in a pause. It's a butterfly, right? The blue is calming, and it's meant to stop for just a moment. All right, so if you are working in a sketchbook, there's nothing to say that you can't do 3D work. Let's go back. Okay, so there are the discussion questions, and there's part two. Part two actually has a little bit more on color. So for some of you, when you took art with me last, which for some of you was like in 5th grade, we didn't really go into color theory heavy. We did the basic stuff. We did how to mix colors, how to, complementary colors, which colors, cancel each other out. We didn't go into that kind of stuff. Into color theory as in how we perceive colors on a psychological and emotional level, okay? What does that mean? That means that in color, let me look this way. That means that when we talk about color, we're already hardwired to perceive certain colors in our head, either from infancy or just being around from human evolution, that these colors mean something, okay? They're already in here. The cool colors happen to be the calming colors. These are the ones that are going to give you the best for that moment of pause or rest in whatever you're doing for your work, okay? You wouldn't want lots of reds, lots of yellows, lots of oranges. Those are warm colors, and those tend to either be very energetic, okay, lots of energy moving around. Then we can do the flip side of that, lots of red. It's either going to go one way or the other. It's either going to go rage and blood, or romance and lust, okay, depending on how far and how much red. So we want more of those blues, those greens. Remember, white and black are kind of neutral. They can go either way depending on what color combination you use, okay? So when you're doing your work, think about your color scheme. That's going to have a big influence on how we interpret your breathe, okay? Does that make sense for everybody? All right, so for MoMA, I think I'm gonna get rid of y'all again. We're probably gonna visit there every couple of weeks until hopefully we end up back in my classroom, and it won't be as much, and even for our e-learners, it'll be easier for me to Zoom you in on our discussions for the beginning of class and that kind of thing. Okay, so if you haven't taken a look, here I go into a little bit more in depth for that video, like an intro video for there. I am gonna do some demos, hopefully when we get back in my room in a few weeks, that we'll post up there. And by demos, I mean it'll be, trying different techniques out, how to do them, what it looks like, that kind of thing. And this will also be for all of our students who are overseas. because over there it's 4:15 in the morning for them. So like this Zoom, once I get done, I'm posting it so that they can see and watch it and kind of stay up with us on what we're doing. Okay. Any questions on the LMS? I mean, it seems like everybody's finding stuff. Okay. I didn't mean to click on that. I did, but projects, details for your projects will be there, like more in depth, that kind of thing. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so for critique, now if we were in my classroom, this is how I would normally run it in my classroom. So because we're gonna have to Zoom our first one, it's gonna be a little different. So normally you would come in when the bell rang, and I would give you about 30 minutes to pull out your project and fix it however you need to fix it. That could be anything from touching it up to matting, mounting it onto a black piece of paper or a colored paper, anything that you needed to be able to present it for us to put on the cork board, okay? You get 30 minutes, think touch-ups, if you wanna look at it that way. Then at about, usually around, well, it was before 3:15, probably 3:30 now, we'd put them all up on the wall, and then I would randomly select one, or start on one side, and we would just discuss your work, okay? So we'd talk about it. Our thoughts, our views, did it meet the criteria? So in this case, it would be, do you have line as your subject or as your emphasis, drawing the viewer's eye around something or to something for us to look at, okay? And does it create that kind of breathe? Does it go with the prompt? So most of the time that's usually, yeah, everybody, because we can usually do that one right off the bat for everybody. That doesn't meet criteria. If it does, then we go on. More in depth, like what was your purpose? What was your thinking process? Were you trying to convey a feeling, a thought, an emotion, a memory? And then we kind of give our interpretation, more positive feedback, discussion on your work. Does that make sense? And then we go to the next person until we get done. Some critiques, pretty fast, we can get through everybody in like 20 minutes. Others, we've taken as long as 45, almost to an hour, It just kind of depends on how in depth we go with your work. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Any questions? All right, so for the Zoom, we're still gonna kind of run it the same way for critique. So next Thursday, instead of 3, it'll be 3:30. So what does that mean? That means by 3 o'clock, you should have your work to me, okay? Whether that is physically in my hand for the people who are here, or post it on the wall, or email it to me. Because we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna randomly select images, either off the class wall or from my email, and we're gonna put them up on the screen that we're gonna share, and we're gonna talk about them, okay? And for the ones that are physically here with me, I will literally hold it up in front of the camera so we can look at it, okay? So, and same to the people who are here physically with me. If you would rather snap a picture and send it to me in email or post it, that's fine with me too, as long as I have it by 3. Why? Because it's gonna take me a few minutes to at least get them all on my desktop, or on my desktop and on the LMS, so I'm not going all over my computer trying to find them, okay? Sound good? And then about 3:30, we will start critique, and then we'll just go until we're done. Okay? All right, questions? No questions? Okay, here's a question. Do you all have an idea of what you're doing? Because I've only talked to a handful of you who have thrown ideas at me, and by a handful, there's 16 of you, and like maybe 5 of you have gotten back. Okay, so as long as you know what you're doing, and you know what media, remember, it's open to whatever media you want to use. That's why it's called mixed media, okay? Okay, well then that's really all I have for right now. So if you don't have any questions, or if you do have questions later, email them to me or post them on the wall, okay? If you haven't answered my questions yet for Mr. Hurst, go ahead and do that, but you still have till tomorrow at 11:30, okay? We good? Yeah. All right, then. I will see you guys next Thursday at 3:30. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good afternoon.